This is Financial Straight Talk with Jim Fox.
Welcome back into this week's edition of Financial Straight Talk. It's all powered by Wadadley Financial Group with Jim Fox, the founder, president, and investment advisor representative. I'm Kevin McAlpin. Thanks as always for joining us here on the program. Remember, the number to reach Jim and his team if you are planning for your retirement, maybe you're newly retired and you don't have that plan in place. Give him a call today. Get that conversation started at 321-414-7526. That's 321-414-PLAN or online. It's getfst.com. Of course, you know that stands for Financial Straight Talk. Getfst.com. Well, Jim, it can't be a show, it can't be a Financial Straight Talk without talking a little bit of sports on this program, right? We like to get into baseball every now and then. I know you're a baseball guy.
I love the baseball part of it. Yeah, Jerry was always the football thing. I'm like, bro, you're in a whole other world. But yes, baseball it is. Let's talk.
Yeah, well, so Ken Griffey Jr., a name we're all familiar with. I mean, let's be honest, he's the reason I still, at 43 years old, wear my hat backwards. I don't know about you. Am I too old for the backwards hat now?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm going to make no comment on that. Let Melissa make that decision for me. How's that? Well, does she still like it?
It depends on what hat. There's actually some hats I have. She goes, you can only wear that one backwards. That's not a frontwards hat. That is a backwards hat. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference is.
Love it. Love it.
The reason I bring it up, though, Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr., we know he retired from the big leagues many, many years ago. But get this, he's found himself a new side hustle as a credentialed media photographer. Now, you might see him at the Home Run Derby. You might see him at an NFL game or even recently the Masters. He was out there at Augusta National. Now, he started taking pictures, let's get this, as a way of keeping others from distracting him at his kids' sporting events. Take a listen to this.
It was actually the only way I could see my kids. They were like, oh, Ken's here. And I was like, okay, I've got to pay more attention to what's going on. And I figured nobody's messing with the photographer. Well, let me pick it up. Let me try it. And I got a couple photographer friends who sent me a couple cameras and lenses and said, here you go. And didn't tell me anything about it. Just don't put it on auto.
If you're a photographer, you certainly understand what that means. But Jim, tying it into folks that we are targeting here this on this program, retirees also have to plan for that next chapter as well. So when it comes to sitting down with folks, is that transition almost as important as it is to make sure you have enough money to actually be able to retire?
You've got to know what the capabilities of your accounts are or your portfolio, because, I don't know what's worse, to be completely honest with you. I see people that want these insane amounts of income to come off of a set of investments that just can't generate it, right? Mm-hmm. There was one lady I'll never forget, and I sat down with her, and she was like, as long as I get a 12% rate of return, I can live off my interest and meet all of my needs. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. But what happens one year if you get a 6% rate of return? You're still going to need the same amount of money. And she says, yes. Well, that means that the next year you don't need a 12% rate of return because your accounts are lower. Now you need a 14 or 15% rate of return, right? And it works against you that way. And then I have other people that are equally as irritating to me, okay? And I got to tell you why. Because they got $4.5 million and they want $13 a year off of it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, listen, I can't stress this enough. Money is a tool. Money is a tool. You have to decide how you're going to use your tools. Sometimes you're going to box them up and say, I don't want to use any of my money. I'm going to leave it to the kids. Okay, great. Well, that's still a decision that we have to think about, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is if you have a retirement account, 401ks, IRAs, TSPs, thrift savings, any of that kind of stuff, Uncle Sam is going to make you start taking money out eventually, right? Mm-hmm. So anywhere between 73 now all the way up to 75 in 2033. So we've got to have strategies, right? We have to have strategies. And it all comes down to planning. And what I love, and I'm just envisioning this because, I try to be a little league coach. Probably one of the worst things that ever happened in my life, Kevin, is my son hated baseball.
Oh, no.
Hated it. And, so I was the coach, Little League, T-ball. I was all about it, man. I mean, I loved it, right? Mm-hmm. And it killed me when he's like, Dad, I just don't want to do this. And I was like, I can't really force him to do this. And it was sad because I love being on the field with my kids. I loved standing on the pitcher's mound with that kid and just like walking them through it. And that coaching part of this is great. And you're right. It's about the distractions, right? And King, he's spot on. Nobody messes with the photographer. I never thought about that. From here on out, Hunter lacrosse, which he loves, my butt's going to get away from the bleachers and I'm going to grab the camera and I'm going to start taking photos so I can be less distracted. So how do we translate that into finances, right? Well, the reality is you don't want to be your own photographer, okay? Because you want to live your life. You don't want to be distracted with all the nonsense. You want to go out, do the trips, do all the fun things, and you want to make sure that your money's right? Your money is doing the things it needs to do. So we get to be the coach here, right? We get to be the people to help navigate those distractions. Look at the markets. Okay, just think about this, Kevin. Look at how the past, what would we say, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, how the markets would swing insanely. Down 1,000, up 2, down 2,000, up. I mean, how do you keep track of this stuff? And it's like every time there's a Twitter post, the markets move.
Right.
In one direction or the other. Like now this week, miraculously, everything's better. And next week, who knows, right? So what do we do for you? That's the ultimate question. Because listen, if you're hot wired to handle this stuff on your own, more power to you. More power to you. But what I have learned in my almost 30 years, I can't believe I'm saying that because I might as well just say almost 30 at this point because it's 28 years. Just think about that. In December, it's 28 years of doing this nonsense, right? That's a long time, Kevin.
Right.
What do I know? You may be the best lawyer, the best doctor, the best nurse. I don't care what it is as a profession. You can kick butt in that profession. But the last thing you've ever wanted to do is spend 8, 9, 10, 30, 40 hours a week trying to figure out what are the tax laws? How are the markets moving? What strategies should I employ? How do I deal with long-term versus short-term calculations? When do I tax harvest? What's the best yield? Are we nearing capitulation? Or are we heading towards an L-shaped recovery? We don't know where we're at. Who wants to do that stuff? So you need to hire somebody that can sit down and make it simple. That's what we do. I grew up as a young, skinny, dark-haired guy in this industry, okay, way back. I can't believe it. I was 25 years old. I mean, this is crazy to think when I started doing this. I was taught to be a salesman. I was taught to come in and convince you to sign on the dotted line and we're going to do this and this and this and, just sell the pie in the sky because that's really what it was back in the day. And as I got older and my client base got older, I started to realize the importance of that conversion of your money growing to that conversion of your money paying you back.
Right.
And that's the magic of retirement. See, the mentality to get you to retirement is different than the mentality you need to have in retirement. And when we sit down, our job is to create a strategy. We just happen to call it the bucket strategy that allows you to navigate retirement the way that you need to. It's not perfect. It never will be. Things change. Things are always happening. But what I find is that most people that come through my door, gentlemen that came through just last week, bought $1 million annuity. And I said, why do you have $1 million annuity? You have like $20,000 of income coming through the door between pensions and Social Security. He goes, well, I don't know. Not the right answer, right? I don't know is not the right answer. So you've got to understand why you have it, but thinking that you're going to get X amount rate of return or the markets are crazy, so I should put my money over here. And like that is not a retirement strategy. That's chasing returns or hiding from the market. Our job is to sit down with you and put together a plan that makes sense. I don't want to insult you when I say this because I need you guys to know when I say this, we mean this lovingly. We believe in the KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, stupid. That's a Marine Corps. That's a military thing because the more confusing and convoluted it is, the harder it is for you to execute and do. When we sit down with you, we point at a bucket and we go, that bucket right there, that's where your money's coming from. And if you pull the money that you say you want out of that bucket, we know based on the numbers, it should last 30 years, 20 years, whatever it is. That other bucket right there, that bucket is going to adjust for inflation. It's going to go really high at times, but unfortunately, it's also going to go down at times. So when it goes really high, we need a strategy to rebalance it. You're thinking about buying a boat, an RV, a cabin, a townhome, whatever it is. See that bucket right there? That's our other bucket. We're going to use that bucket to buy all the fun things that you want to do in life. See that cash bucket? That's your emergency bucket. You know that bucket that says LTC or long-term care? Most of us are too old or too sick to get long-term care when we need it. Mm-hmm. So what strategy do we use for long-term care? Well, maybe that's in that bucket. And that is how we build our plans. Most of you that are driving right now have 401ks, IRAs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. Maybe you got some crypto. Maybe you got some gold. Okay. Congratulations. You got a whole bunch of ingredients, but you don't know how to put the meal together. And there lies the problem. Most people are missing the simplicity that is retirement. And I read an article years ago, and I can't remember if it was on Forbes or Fox Business or Fortune, whichever one it was. And it was when common sense is common no more, right? That was the name of the article that I wrote. Mm-hmm. And it was all about having some logic to your plan. And that's what we want you to do. This isn't some mystical, magical thing that was passed down from the gods of Olympia to us, okay? Right. This is a common sense approach given you to by a dude who typically is wearing jeans and cowboy boots, okay? Right. You need to know that, all right? But I want you to have the knowledge to make good decisions. And if you walk through our door and we put together this kind of conceptual idea and you want to walk your happy butt out and never see me again, I am totally fine with that. All I ask you is this. Tell somebody about what we did for you. We're not here to sell you anything, but for the right people, where we're the right fit, we can make a huge difference in your life to take away some of those concerns, to give you a solid plan. But I don't care where you're at in this journey. If you pick up the phone and give us a call, at least you're going to have another opinion that's going to be driven by mathematics and not emotion. You're going to have a plan that makes sense to where we can answer questions. And good Lord willing, if we get along and everything makes sense, we can find a path to work together. But if not, my goal is simply this, for you to have more knowledge when you walk out the door than you did when you walked through the door. Very few people on radio or even these workshops and all this other nonsense that you go to have this philosophy. Ladies and gentlemen, come in, test me to see how real this really is. Because I'm telling you right now, we don't sell. We work with people. We walk them through the ideas. And if we're the right fit, we'll talk about working together. But my job is not to convince you to give me your money. That is not my job. My job is to find a way to work together with you if we can make it happen and if we can put you in a better position. Pick up the phone. Give us a call. My team's standing by right now. Let them know you want to have one of those appointments. We'll sit down. We'll do all the analytics and we'll see what options will work best for you with your current plan. And if there's a way to work together, we'll make that happen. But my team's standing by right now. Give them a call. 321-414-7526. Again, 321-414-PLAN.
You can also schedule that consultation right there on Jim's website. It's getfst.com. Folks, you know that stands for Financial Straight Talk. Getfst.com, or again, 321-414-7526. 321-414-PLAN. Well, Jim, we got about a minute left in the show, and we covered a lot here. And we got enough time, I think, for a final word from you, my friend.
Absolutely, man. Well, guys, it is great to be back. I want to start by saying that it has been a while. So we love that we have our first live full show in what feels like a few months. So it's just great to be back here. And I always want to end kind of saying the same thing, but it's from the bottom of mine and Kevin's hearts. We know that you have tons of options when it comes to getting information. We're just honored to be one of those resources here in Brevard County. So if there's anything we can do for you, pick up the phone, give us a call. My team's standing by to get you in the office so we can sit down and look at where you're at, help drive you through all these options so you can make the right decision for you and your family. Pick up the phone, give us a call. But like Kevin said, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Financial Straight Talk.
Thanks for listening to Financial Straight Talk with Jim Fox. To learn more, visit getfst.com.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Wadadley Financial Group. Wadadley Financial Group is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Wadadley Financial Group are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Wadadley Financial Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any government agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Wadadley Financial Group.